Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene. Hey everybody, welcome to A Culinary Journey. I'm Luca Paris, and today I'm stuffed. No, I'm not like totally full because we had a great big dinner. I'm stuffing stuff and stuff. Pork chops, we're going to be stuffing with pork. We're going to have sausage stuffed pork chops wrapped with bacon. Why not? Because you can do that. And I'm actually also going to stuff a salmon, probably something you haven't seen before, with mascarpone with some orange and fennel, some cool things. And we're going to wrap that with some prosciutto because everything's better with more pork on it. We're going to make those two dishes because your culinary journey starts now. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. Let's get started on some cool stuff because we're going to stuff stuff. Anyway, what we're going to do is make stuffed pork chops. I'm going to stuff them with sausage, a little bit of a Boursin cheese, and then we're going to wrap that in bacon. And I'm going to stuff some salmon, which we're going to start first with because that's going to cook the easiest. And we're going to serve them with some potatoes. How about some cheddar potatoes? That sound good to you? It sounds great to me. This is where we're going to do it. First thing I did was I cut the potatoes. I sliced them. I peeled them, and then we sliced them a little bit thick. Now we have to kind of blanch them. We're going to blanch them first, and then we're going to make that cheesy goodness, right? We're going to make kind of a creamy, cheesy goodness. So in a pan, these are going to take a little bit of time. So about by the time it's all said and done, we'll get a good half hour for these in the pan. We're going to get some oil down on the bottom. I'm going to salt the potatoes. The salt right on the potatoes is going to extract the liquid of the potatoes. Remember, potatoes have a lot of water in them, and they're going to help blanch the potatoes in the pan. So we'll get those in there, salt and pepper. We're going to let them heat up with the oil, and it'll all work out really nice. So when most people think that they have to cook potatoes ahead of time and then blanch them and then do all these things or put them in the oven, in this case you don't. You've seen me do it on the show a couple of times. I love doing it that way, where I kind of cook them in the pans. We're going to let those cook down. They're going to be the base of both of our, not only the salmon, but also of the pork. All right, and then let's get right to the salmon. That was the easy part, right? That's nice and easy. With the salmon, all I need is a couple of things. I'm going to actually stuff the salmon. So what I'm going to do, let's get myself one of these right here so I can put the fish on here. I'm going to cut the salmon in half so this way I could stuff it, all right? So almost like taking a fillet. Now, when you go to the store, you could ask your fish guy to fillet your salmon for you, but you probably won't be able to ask him to cut that in half the long way again. So we got one piece like that. This thing's kind of puffy. And then we'll do another piece just like that too. And watch what happens here. So we're going to get that. Now the stuffing is a mascarpone stuffing. Now you can do whatever type of stuffing you want. I just happen to have this around. And in here I have orange zest, fennel, it's a little fennel seed that I've toasted and then pulsed and put in there, and the mascarpone. So you got this orange fennel feel to go inside of our salmon. So I'm just going to lay that out in there. And this is what we want to make sure happens. So like with anything you cook, this might start to ooze out because it's all cheesy and yummy goodness. Oh, listen to those potatoes go. All right, so we'll get that out of the way. Then we're going to wrap these because I don't want the cheese to come out, right? This is what might seem, when you see it as a completed product, might seem fancy and difficult and all that jazz. Well, let's make sure we put this back on the right way that it came off. Are these the right ones? I don't know. It's not going to matter because once we wrap them, you're not going to be able to tell. It's really not that hard to do. What you're going to do then is go to the store, buy yourself some prosciutto, Italian ham, sliced really thin. Now you want to get them to slice it thin for you because when you wrap it around the salmon, you want it to be paper thin, almost see-through. You see that? And then we're going to put the salmon right into there. Look at that. This is going to be so good. We'll season a little bit. I did it wide enough so that way I could fold over just a little bit on each side. And not only will the prosciutto give flavor because it's got this fatty meatiness to it, but it's also going to protect the fish and make it nice and tender. So that's one. This is too easy. And they'll think you went to this fancy restaurant to pick this all up because it's that simple. Now the good thing about having the prosciutto, and even when we do the bacon, you're not going to need as much oil in the pan to start searing it. What you're going to get is that the fat that the prosciutto gives will be able to start melting away right into the pan. So we're just going to salt the pan. And again, the salt will act as an extractor, where it's going to actually extract the moisture, or in this case the fat, out of the prosciutto. And it's going to allow us to pan sear in the salt. So I'll just use that salt and pepper again. I'm going to put it in a pan, let it heat up a little bit. And then we're going to start getting our salmon in there. And when the salt starts popping, it's going to sear. Now it's going to start searing the prosciutto and pulling out the fat. Now here's the thing. You can do this even without the prosciutto if you want to go totally vegetarian on it. And you can actually wrap these, the same stuffing and everything, and wrap them in romaine leaves. But there you need a little bit more moisture. We'll save that for another show, and we'll do another type of stuffing. And the sauce we're going to create for that, since we have orange inside, what I want to do is take some orange and white wine and butter and do like a light flavor, orange flavored sauce on the outside, maybe a little bit of fennel in there too. So we're going to let that sear. We'll season this a little bit more, not too much because the prosciutto is salty. So we're going to let that sear, turn that down on medium heat. We have in this pan, this other pan here that we started cooking, are potatoes that are going to take some time. And if we flip them over, you'll kind of start seeing them brown just a little bit, but we don't need them to be too brown initially. We're going to add some cream to here and let them cook in the cream too, a little later on. So we got our potatoes cooking, we have our salmon searing, and then when we come back, we're going to start our pork chops going. So don't go away. Got a lot of things going on. Don't want you to miss anything. We'll see you in a culinary minute. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. Look, I've toasted one side of my potatoes to a nice golden brown, right? That's good. I want to get them a little crispy on each side. Then we're going to blanch them off with a little cream. So hold on to your hats because those are going to get delicious because we have cheddar cheese going in there too. You don't want to miss that. All right, so if we go over to our salmon, I turned one over. You see how some of the fat's already in there. Turn the other side over. We're getting this like crispy crust on the prosciutto on medium heat. Now we're searing the other side. Now two things. We're not only protecting the outside and starting this crust and not allowing the mix that we made, the mascarpone, the fennel, and the orange to come out, but we're also steaming the salmon on the inside, keeping it nice and moist and yummy. You're going to love this, trust me. So we're getting that started. Once we get this other side cooked, what we're going to do is pop it in here and finish it off in the oven. And I'll get my oven going to about 350 degrees because we just need it to finish in there, so we'll let that happen. In the meantime, let's start on our pork. And what's more decadent than having pork stuffed with pork and then wrapped in pork, and that's what we're going to do. Some homemade Italian sausage that my brother brings me. I'm just going to chop that up. And a lot of time for stuffings, I like to use what's around. Now, it's the holidays, right? And if, we just did a show not too long ago doing, these beer balls, cheese stuffed beer balls, or some dips or what have you. Well, I've done that many times where you'd have, some extra dip or anything like that kind of floating around. I'd make Boursin cheese a lot of times when I have people over, but I always make too much. And the Boursin cheese is basically taking cream cheese and butter equal parts, adding a lot of fresh herbs, a little bit of garlic, and it's a great cheese spread to put on top of, with crudité or on top of vegetables or just about anything. And whenever I have extra, it makes a great stuffing too. You have all these great flavors right in there. So think about anything you use for a dip. How would that use as a stuffing? Do you have to thicken it up a little bit Or can you leave it the way it is and just add other ingredients because you have tons of flavor and you're not wasting? And that's what we're trying to work on here. I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I do like a little bit of color in there, so I'm going to add some chopped red peppers. Right? And then we're just going to mix this up with the sausage. Easy enough, right? And you can do it with anything. I mean, if you just want to do a cream cheese dip or anything like that. That mascarpone with the fennel, I basically did the same thing. That's what I used on another thing that I was stuffing. And again, I'm just trying to play with what I have. So let's put that there for a second, and let's work on our pork chops. Now, our pork chops, actually, let's move this over here. These are center cut loin chops. You get those again at the supermarket. And this actually has a little piece of the bone in it. And basically, just like you would get a loin, now you could use it without the loin or without the bone or with the bone. And they're about 1.5 inches to almost 2 inches thick. That is a great size to do our stuffing with. Unlike the salmon, one of the things I like to do, unlike the salmon, is only make a pocket and stuff the pocket. Because in the pork, when it cooks, it actually comes around and squeezes the stuffing. Now we are going to wrap this too, but it doesn't hurt to just only make a pocket. So what I do is I take a smaller knife, I go about 3/4 of the way in, and then I open up my pocket, and the rest I kind of push with my thumb and just kind of separate it just a little bit more. Okay, so that's my pocket. We're going to go over here and get my cheese and sausage mixture and get that in there and kind of just move it around so it goes all the way in. If you like to make it a little bit deeper, go ahead. Make sure your sausage is cooked that you're putting it in there. Don't put it in raw. That's not going to work. With any stuffing, I always recommend that you always cook all the ingredients of your stuffing. And then this one's a little bit thinner, but I'm going to do the same thing. Let's move that out of the way so if you need to see that, you can see that. Just going to go about 3/4 of the way in. And again, I go a little bit wider on the inside. So it's a small opening on the outside, a little bit wider on the inside, right? And then we're going to get more of our stuffing into that too. Don't want to overstuff because you're going to tear. And then be careful. Try and go right in the center because if you tear the sides, part of it's just going to come out of there. Now, this is where you could go in a lot of different directions. Let me turn down my... I need to turn down my potatoes a little bit and add some cream to it. Let's add our heavy cream to our potatoes because this is about the right time for that. It's going to get a little bit wet because there's some oil in there. I'm going to let that kind of settle down. Oh, those are going to be good when they're all cooked down. And I want to get my salmon out of here. Look at that. A little bit of that cheese is coming out, but that's okay. And we're going to shut this off, but we're going to create a sauce out of the prosciutto that was right there. Okay, let's pop this in the oven. This is another about 10 minutes. It'll be ready in the oven. And we'll get it in there. Okay, that's off. We have potatoes cooking. Now watch. This is where you could go in a couple of different directions. One, you could just leave it the way it is. Maybe do an herb crust around the outside. Maybe a breadcrumb crust if you like. So now you have all those great flavors in there. Or go to total decadence because I have a good friend of mine who will say that what's better than bacon, wrapped bacon-esque items. So it's everything you can think of. Look at that. Oh, bacon wrapped pork stuffed with pork and cheese. It doesn't get much better than that. It's the holidays, or if it's not, when you're watching this, doesn't matter. Make it a holiday. Make it a special occasion. And we're going to wrap in a lot of goodness. Now, this will take a while for us to cook. I mean, by the time we get one of these bigger chops done, we're talking about 15 or 20 minutes that we want it to cook. I like to cook my pork into that medium rare to medium at the most. I have my pan piping hot. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. And I'm going to get my salt in there, right? I'll get my salt and pepper. That's going to get hot. And then this way, we got a lot of fat on here. We're going to almost get this nice sear going right away. Hear that? No oil in the pan because we're going to have a lot of oil in the pan later. And then let's not go too far away because I want you to see what we're working on over here. Check out these potatoes. Come and check them out, how that cream is like cooking down in the potatoes. It gets even better. They're going to get fattier and juicier and yummier any minute. This is not a healthy eating show. This is a fun eating show. So I'm going to turn those off, let the cream just kind of come together on that. When we come back, we'll add some cheddar cheese to that. These bad boys will be seared to the max, and we're going to create a nice little sauce around it. And then we're going to finish off a nice light sauce for the salmon. So don't go away. When you come back, we'll put this all together. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. Listen, we have a lot of things going on here. Hopefully you didn't miss the beginning because we got a lot of stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? Well, here it is. First, we have our salmon that we stuffed with our mascarpone and orange and fennel. And we're going to create a little sauce from the pan drippings right here, which was the prosciutto that's wrapped around it, seared into this pan. Here I have my potatoes that I started with oil, salt, and pepper. And then I added some cream, and the cream's kind of breaking down in there. But here's the last part. I've shut it off. I'm going to add the last part where we're going to melt some cheddar cheese on it. Oh boy, this is going to be some meal. We're going to let that just melt there. We won't touch that for a bit. We'll get to it in a little bit. And then in the oven, I have 2 pork chops stuffed with Boursin cheese from a party I had last night. And I took the Boursin cheese, I chopped some sausage, then I wrapped that with bacon. Yes, you heard me right. Sausage, pork, bacon. Yep, that's what we do here on this show. We just like to go right to the next level. In this pan here where I have the fond or the pieces of prosciutto, what I want to do is create a little sauce for my salmon. Since we have orange on the inside, I took some fresh orange segments, a little bit of the orange juice, and we'll chop some shallots to go in there. And we're just going to kind of let that reduce down and finish that off with a little bit of butter because, you know, nothing says I want to put as much fat and salty products in me as adding butter to a dish. But this is nice. Again, it's all in moderation. You've seen me do my healthy shows. You heard me talk about eating healthy. But every once in a while, we just have to get a little decadent and have fun. So in there, we have our orange segments cooking where the prosciutto was searing. Oh, this is going to be beautiful to go with that. And then we got some shallots in there as well. So let's let that cook down and bring it down. And let's start getting all our dishes together. So we have our potatoes with cheddar. What do I want to add to that? Maybe a little bit of fresh parsley in there also with the potatoes and the cheddar. And we'll just chop that up. Really rough chop because we want to just give it some color. And we might want to add a little bit of this also to our sauce here. All right, that's kind of all reduced down. I didn't use any wine or anything. We're just going to make it real simple. So we'll add just a little parsley to that, a little parsley to this to give us some color, warms up. And then why don't we start plating what we have together, okay? So our first plate is going to be some of our potatoes with our cheddar. Cheddar potatoes. Come on, this is exciting. And they're real yummy. All we did was pan sear these potato rounds in a little bit of oil. We added a little cream and let them poach down. And then we took a little fresh parsley at the end and we topped them with that. Here with our salmon, we cut it wide open and then we stuffed it. And then we rolled it with some prosciutto to take care of it. Here, I don't think I want any butter in here. I think this is going to be fine the way it is because we have some nice flavors on there. And really interesting and fun preparation. And a lot of this is with some leftovers that I just found around. And it's absolutely beautiful. Like that? Wow, that was different. Perfect. Let's go to our pork. Now let's see if that's cooked. That's the key right there because those things were big. If you missed them, ready for this? Here they come. Our pork chops, ta-da! Our stuffed pork chops with sausage and Boursin cheese. And let's do the same thing. Let's get some of our potato and our cheddar in there. Now these are going to be oily, so you're going to kind of get them out of the oil. Let's get a spoon for that again. It's a little bit easier. And like I said, when you have items that you could put in your stuffing that might be from something you've done before, those are some of my favorite shows to do. Now, some of you might not know of this, but when we do our show, we basically do it ourselves without any type of budget to go to work and bring this stuff with us. But when we do that, we come up with these exciting and new ideas based on what we find around. So that's what I got to do today. So let's see if this one is cooked. I want to see how close we are. I'm going to cut a little piece off of here, only because I know if I don't do this now, I won't get, okay, it's on the Ooh, it's pink, beautiful. All right, it's on the medium side. Originally, I was going to do a sauce for this one. I don't think it needs it. This is perfect just the way it is. This is what you could do with a couple of leftovers to make some stuffing. You could do it inside of pork, and maybe you could do it with chicken also. You name it, it's there. And this is the salmon. They're really, really great, beautiful dishes. Let's check out this salmon. Ready? Oh, that is gorgeous. It stays tender, doesn't overcook. I actually can cook it to a nice, look at that. Oh, that is perfect. Oh man, you need to try this. But anyway, you need to make it yourself and try it because I'm going to get my own. And the salmon, absolutely incredible. A little bit of citrus flavor to it, great with the potatoes. It's nice when I don't have a guest because I get to eat and talk at the same time. What a good life I live. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know I had a great time, and I'm going to finish these before the camera guys get to them. And I'll see you next time on A Culinary Journey. Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene.